This is the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 208 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. Today, I am interviewing and speaking with Kate Doster of katedoster.com. We're going to be talking about how to sell to your email list without sounding money hungry. Kate has an amazing personality, and it's going to come across so well in this interview. You're also going to tell why she is so good at her email marketing, and it's something that you guys can all put into effect within your emailing as well. So make sure before you hop off and go somewhere else that you make sure that you get the freebie that she is offering with this episode. There's actually 2 that she's giving to you based upon where you are in your email marketing journey. All right, you guys, let's dive in. Hi, Kate. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I am so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you. I listen to your podcast and I have clients that listen to your podcast and just adore you. And I'm just so excited to get your knowledge about your email list and how to use it properly. Before we jump in, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. So I am Kate Doster of katedoster.com and host of the Inbox Besties podcast. And basically my whole entire mission on earth is to put money in the hands of good people so they can do good with it. And especially I call us ethical entrepreneurs, especially they tend to get really, really clammed up when it comes to selling and when it comes to actually emailing their list. And I think that there's actually, well, you do need the practical, and we're going to talk about that a lot today. I also think there's a lot of mindset stuff that goes behind it. So I tackle this from all areas. I'm like, why wouldn't you use every tool in your toolbox? So not only am I going to tell people what to send, how to write it, I'm going to make sure that they actually hit the send button. So they're no more like, oh, am I going to annoy people or they're going to hate me? No, I need you to get out there because we call them the Billy Broheems of the world. So you might hear the Billy Broheem voice throughout the interview, but the Billy Broheems of the world, they are shameless. They do not care. And your people are going to buy from them because they're not aware that there's any other option if you do not tell them. And since you're a kind-hearted, good-hearted person, you've got to get out there. So that is what we do. I love email. I started off my online journey, kind of like a lot of people, you flip some stuff on eBay, you do blogging for a while, and then you always end up in services. So I was a copywriter with a W, which means I got paid lots of monies to make people slap buttons on the internet. And when you are a copywriter, and again, that's just writing words, you get to write a lot of different words. So anything from home pages to about pages to sales pages. And I just loved writing email sequences, funnels, launch sequences, welcome. That was just it because I love people and I love the personal connection that you can have with it. So in a nutshell, that is Kate Doster, host of the Inbox Besties podcast.
I love it. And I'm so glad you brought up the piece about mindset because that's actually definitely something that we have to tackle because I know my audience and they're listening and there's those that are shaking their head going, yep, don't want to sell, don't care, don't want to sell. So I'm glad that we're going to get them to do that today. So before we obviously dive into how we're going to do that, what is the top way you've found to actually grow your list, right? Because we've got to have people on our list in order to actually email them.
Right. I think that the most important thing before we get into list growth is you have to grow your list with the right people. That is what is going to make selling not gross. If you are trying to sell somebody on say your vegan cookbook, but you have a bunch of meat eaters on your list, of course you're going to get spam complaints. Of course you're never going to know how to sell to them. Of course your email list is just going to be like, oh, ConvertKit, you cost me so much because you let the wrong people on your email list. Being on your email list is a privilege. Being able to hear your knowledge, your excitement, your encouragement, your insightfulness, the resources that you pulled for people. They were lucky to be there. So you need to get in that mindset first. So again, if you just want to be like, oh, what's the best way to grow your email list? Say you're going to give away an iPad Pro. And then you can have as many subscribers as you want. They're probably going to be garbage subscribers.
Yes.
That being said, if you want high quality subscribers, like Jenny and I are all about, then you are going to want to make sure, first and foremost, that you have a freebie that answers a yeah, but question that somebody who is serious or semi-serious about your niche, your area, is going to be naturally inquiring about. So if, for example, we have a mutual acquaintance and she helps people with vegan, vegetarian cooking. So she could very well create a guide that's like a bacon lover's guide to going vegan. All of a sudden, it's not the 3 simple steps to going vegan. It's, how did you know that I miss bacon? Or that's a problem for me. And people are naturally going to gravitate towards you. So once you actually have this freebie created, it's your job to get it in front of people. And really, I have found there is sort of 2 camps for this. There are ads, which can be expensive, and you definitely need to know what you're doing. Or one of my favorite approaches, which is some type of collaboration. Whether you are going to do a summit, whether you are going to do a free bundle where, say, you get together with 10 people who also help your audience, but in different ways. And, for 2 weeks only, people can get all these like amazing free gifts. You can grow your list that way. You can do things like we're doing here, podcasting. But what I don't want to see people doing when they come to me and they're like, well, I've tried to do everything to grow my list. Usually everything is like, well, like I created 10 pins for it. How brave is playing in Canva? It's not. If you want explosive list growth, you have to do the brave thing. Asking somebody to be on your summit or asking somebody else, hey, can I be on your summit? That's brave. So that's going to get you better results. We're calling it the paint by numbers of list building approach. So yeah, definitely have your Canvas, definitely have your SEOs. But remember, if you are looking for bigger and faster, you got to be braver about it.
Yes, I love that. That's such a great idea, especially when it comes to collaboration. And I know for some people, summits can seem kind of scary depending upon what niche you're in. But even something as simple as like a list swap, you send their opt-in to your list and they send yours to theirs. As long as you said, like in the beginning, it's the right audience, right?
Exactly. I love freebie swaps. Those are the best. So, if we'll just use my example when I was a copywriter, I could team up with someone who is a graphic designer who also helps, say, online course creators and be like, hey, can you send people to my landing page? I'll send them to your landing page. And now your audience is going to be happy because, they came to me for words, but maybe they're still struggling with design. And now here I just gave them on a golden platter, an awesome person for design. And same thing for the designer. So it's very mutual. And again, brave. It's going to be a little nerve-wracking asking people, but they just work so well. So well.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're a lot less time and effort than guest blog posting.
Oh my goodness, yes. And once you send that pitch in order to do it, it's gone. You just got to put it out there and let it be and don't dwell on it.
Yes. And then once you sort of open the floodgates, you realize, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then you go and you send 5 more of them again to the correct people. You're always making it about their audience. It's like, I know you talk about Instagram, but your audience is probably already interested in this. And I'd love to help fill in those gaps for them. Just do it. Just do it.
Yes. Okay. So we've grown our list and now we want to sound. So using your words, how do I get past the fact that I don't want to come off like a money hungry butt face?
You're right. Oh, butt face. My favorite word ever. Well, we might talk about that at the end. So the way that we do it is first we start with the right people. Okay. The reason why we have our freebie and why we treat being on our list is an actual privilege is because, okay, if Jenny tells me that she is really into crafting and I want to sell an ebook on crafting, well, it makes sense that she would want to know about it. But if I tried to send her, something on meal prep, she'd be like, but I came to this person for crafts. And so it wouldn't make sense to be that disconnect, which is why it all starts with getting the right people. The next thing that you need to do is, again, get over yourself. Is everyone on your list going to buy? No, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with you for wanting to give people a better chance to succeed. Because Jenny and I can tell you straight up, our inboxes probably have more freebies than they can count, especially when we were starting out. We signed up for all the webinars, all of the things, but I guarantee you the stuff that we took action on were the stuff that we actually paid for. It was the coaches that we paid for. It was the ebooks that we paid for, the programs that we paid for. And just think about this in real life. If you buy a bag at Target, you do not care if your kids ruin it. You probably don't know where it is. There's crayons in the bottoms. There's applesauces. It does not matter. But that Coach bag or that Louis Vuitton bag, the one that only comes out for weddings, that one hasn't come out in a year, obviously, but it is in its dust bag. It's topped over the corner. If your kids or your spouse or your dog even look at it, you scream at them because you spent money on it. So you treat it with respect. So do not rob your subscribers of the chance to take themselves more seriously and get better results because they put some skin in the game. So that's the second thing you got to get over, right? People, get over yourself. You need to help them. People just perform better when they pay. It is what it is. So then you need to, when you're actually selling, make it about them. Oh my goodness. What? Like we literally just, at the time of this recording, we just came off of a huge launch and people are like, I loved getting these sales emails. I kept reading them like they were the greatest. Why do they think that? Because they made it about what they are going to be able to do, what they are going to accomplish, about the struggles that they have been through. I acknowledge even the fact that, and this fits into my brand, like I'm not the only person they probably have come to solve an email marketing problem. But I tell all of them, come to my webinars because you could hate my teaching style. And I just need you to succeed. Again, put money in the hands of good people so they can do good. So if they cannot jive with a teacher that says butt face and makes references to like Sir Mix-a-Lot and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I'm not for you. Go find somebody else because I still need you out there. So when you are thinking about your people and what they have been going through and what they're going to avoid, and then you just tack on, you've got this product, but you still talk about this product like you own it and it's the best, they're going to want to buy. 100% you make it about them. So I do not send an email with a subject line like Love Your List was the program. Like the doors to Love Your List are open. It's like, now's your time. And then I talk all about the things that they have been trying and accomplishing at this point. Then I'll talk about what's been missing. And look, that's what Love Your List is going to fix. That's not, oh my goodness, guys, like I have, we talk a little bit about credibility. It's like I've spent, a gajillion years and we've had 500 and some odd students go through this and they've had these launches and this launches. And yeah, you put that in there. But at the beginning, you always make it about them. Same thing when it comes to scarcity and urgency, whether you're going to have a limited quantity or a discount ends. I'm sure you've heard this too from your clients. Well, I offered a 50% discount and nobody bought. If you are hinging all of your sales on a 50% off discount, that is like handing somebody a plate of salt and telling them to eat it. It tastes bad. But if you hand them French fries with salt on it, and those French fries are actually your compassion for your person, your understanding, you're explaining how that they can get out of this rut, how these are why other things didn't work out, how it was not their fault because they didn't know that these systems didn't work out before, and you've got a 50% off discount at the end, they're going to buy. So it's just a matter of how you're approaching stuff. Be more excited for them, for what they can avoid and what they can accomplish than for your own thing. But don't just be like, oh, well, I guess if you want to buy it, I'm like covering my hands as we're saying this. No, don't be sheepish. Tell them that you've got it, but always be focused on them.
Yes. And you're making that connection, right? That's the engagement. They can see themselves in your words and what you've described. And once they have that connection, that's like you said, where they're going to buy and when they're going to buy. Because you get a lot of those emails where it's just like, this is the sale, this is the promo, this is the price. Nothing about how it connects to you as the possible consumer. So I love that. So smart. All right. So now we're ready to sell our list. What do I need to do in order for them to first open my emails?
Okay. So again, you're going to be like, what? Selling is just not an isolated incident. The number one factor in getting your emails opened is your name. 100 million% it is your name. And think about it. And Jenny too, like if your best friend sends you an email, are you going to be like, this subject line is so boring? No, you're going to open it because she's your friend and she sent it. Same thing with, even if you look at the other influencers, bloggers, online personalities, anybody that you follow, there are going to be some of them, you don't even look at the subject line, you just open it. Like there's this one lady named Melissa. I don't know what any of her subject lines have been in the past 3 months, but I open them because I enjoy her emails. So you want to start off again by having that valuable freebie, by having some type of follow-up sequence, whether that is a welcome series or whether it is a funnel. The difference being a welcome series is I call it like a little more casual. You can tell them about a couple things that you have for sale, but it's kind of like showing them around the house, where like a funnel, you're leading them to a destination, like to the backyard or to the bathroom. So that's kind of the difference between there. And when you infuse your personality, when you infuse that, hey, so I know that you want to get coaching clients, but you're nervous because you don't have any testimonials. Here's a trick to overcome that. All of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, Jenny, she gets me. I want to open up her stuff. So that's really important for that base relationship to help get your name out there. The second thing is for some of these sales emails, if it is something like, I know Black Friday had already passed, but like Black Friday, next time it comes around, guys, sometimes for those emails, you just have to be blunt and just say what your deal is in that subject line, because people are just scanning subject lines on Black Friday. But most of the time, you can add some curiosity, like struggling to lose that last 5 pounds. Open this, or only open this if you need to lose 5 pounds. Or, if it was like something more money related, like 10K in 2 days, people are going to open those benefit subject lines. They're going to open those curiosity based ones. On occasion, and I do not do this a lot, you can also, with most email service providers, put somebody's first name in it. It's called personalization. So I only usually whip that out towards the very, very end, especially of a launch sequence, because when people see their name, they're naturally going to gravitate towards it. It's their favorite word. So the only reason why we don't do that a lot, again, kind of like the salt aspect of, having timers and all that stuff, is what if they spelt their name wrong? Or because some people will put their email address in as their name by accident because they're not paying attention. And so it's like, Jenny is super cool at blogging.com. Here's your ticket to, Moneytown, as opposed to like, Jenny, here's your ticket to Moneytown. So that's why we use that sparingly. But those things are definitely going to help. Start with a solid foundation of knowing your person. So your name is high up there. Show your personality. Then go ahead and make sure that your subject lines are interesting. They can be benefit driven. They can cause some curiosity.
I love that you talked about your name, because that's it's not what my first thought would be. My first thought would be, well, it matters what your subject is, right? But like you said, I open those emails from those people. I don't care what their subject line is. If Amy Porterfield sends me an email, I'm going to open it just to see what meme she used. I don't care what the content necessarily always is. I want to see what meme she used. But it is. And I never really thought of it that way. So I love that. So smart.
Yeah. Because we treat people like people. That's the way people work. And sometimes, like, let's be real, treating people like people, you might not be the only person that they're signing up for help on the same thing. So they might sign up to 5 vegan bloggers for freebies all at the same time. So that's why it's the stuff in that follow-up sequence that's going to hopefully set you apart. So that way you're their favorite. And if you happen to get on that B roll as opposed to A roll, that's when you rely on your subject lines to do heavy lifting.
Okay. I love that idea. So now, what do I need to do in my emails in order to actually sell my products or services? Is there anything in particular? Obviously, I need to make sure that I'm telling that story and connecting with them. Is there anything else that definitely has to be in those emails?
It depends. I'm going to ask for clarity on this question.
Yeah.
Is this part of you're doing like they call them standalone mailers, which is a hideous term, but is it just like a one-off email like you're like, oh, I want to sell in my weekly newsletter this week? Or is it something like a launch or like a flash sale? What's the context? Because that matters.
Yes. So it's a launch or part of a sales sequence or flash sale, things like that.
Okay. So it depends. This is why it's different. It depends on where in that funnel sequence you are. That is like the biggest thing. You're like, what? It depends on where you are. There are some people who at the very beginning, all they need to know is the thing is open and they're buying and they don't care. So in that one, you're still going to not going to, I spent hours creating this. But again, so that way you don't have to do this. This is here for you and that's here for you. And that's the first email they just buy and they're all about it. Then there are some people who are a little bit more fact finders. So a little bit later on in your series, you're going to have to go over those things, like your frequently asked questions, like giving people a sneak peek, like showing testimonials or case studies. If you have them, you can highlight a person or just sprinkle them throughout your email. But towards the very end, usually what is going on with people with sales, even with flash sales, is they do not trust themselves to get the result with your stuff. 100%, that is what it comes down to. Now, there's always going to be some people that do not have the funds right now or do not feel like they should prioritize the funds because they don't know if they'll be able to get their money back, depending on what industry you're in. So towards that end, you really want to think to yourself, what would they be self-conscious about? And it's not like we're calling it out and being like, you're a giant loser face. And if you don't get in here, like you're going to lose out on this bonus and this bonus and that bonus and all that other crap. No, treat people like people. Why would they be nervous? And then that's what the last of the emails are. And of course, you are going to put in things like timers because we're international. And I have people all of the time. I'm sure you do too. You close a cart, you end a flash sale, 100% you will wake up the next morning and people being like, I thought it was this time or it was that time. So you add timers just so nobody can technically complain that they didn't know what time it is. And you want to make sure that your emails, your sales emails, literally can say like, tap here or see you on the other side of the click, or we can't wait to meet you in the Facebook group, especially towards the bottom where your signature is. Like you can put a couple, I don't know what you would call, they're not really carrots per se, but like those little side arrows, not like the actual emoji arrows, but like the ones on your computer that are next to the question mark button and the period button. Put a couple of those so that way people can actually see it and your link stands out.
Yeah, it's so smart. Now, when it comes to the actual like template of the email, do you find that there's a better spot to have like the link to click through for the button for the purchase? Do you find that you put it in a specific spot? Does that make a difference, or is it more just the words and the way in which you connect?
Okay. So here's something I tell people, and I think they forget it. So if any of you have ever written a blog post, which most of us, even if that's not our medium of choice, we have written one at some point. You know how you just interlink to stuff randomly? Like anytime you say a name, you'd be like, welcome series. And welcome series is like linked to my blog post on welcome series. I think that people forget they can do that in their emails. So it's not like in this whole sales email, there's only one button or one link that they can click on once in order to get there. And so now you need it to be in the magic spot. It's anytime you mention the program's name, the program's name is highlighted and linked to the sales page. The only time that you are going to get into issues with potential deliverability or spam issues is if you had like 7 links going to 7 different places. That's what triggers the spam filter, not 7 different times that you're linking to the same page. All it knows is it's going to one page. It doesn't care how many times you said it. So sometimes I'll even do that where if I want to highlight either a bonus or a benefit or something that they won't have to do anymore, like, send an email and make money before your coffee gets cold, I will highlight that whole sentence because I'm like, that's a benefit my people want. Link out to the sales page. You're good to go. So that's what I would say. You can sprinkle it throughout because you've got some people that will read your whole thing, some people that just read the first couple paragraphs, some people that just read the bottom at the PSs. So make sure it's there. But usually if you're looking for like a button, which I very rarely do, I would say towards the bottom for a button. Oh, and any images you put in there, link out to your sales pages too, because people will click on pictures.
Yep. Oh, I love that. And then people just seem to think, I think often that they talk about it once, there's only one link going out. But like you said, the email, multiple spots, just make it easier for them to click on it for sure.
Yeah.
Love it. So what is the biggest mistake you see people making in their emails, and how would you suggest to fix it?
Well, we always talk about having the wrong people on there, but honestly, I feel like the biggest thing is just not ever emailing them. Straight up. That is like the biggest mistake that you can make. I mean, I recently had done a podcast episode that's like the 3 biggest mistakes you can make with your email list. And that was like number 1, right after letting the wrong people on your list in the first place. If you do not talk to them, 1,000 subscribers is not going to pay your electric bill. It is your relationship with those thousands of subscribers. It is how we can have a 10% conversion on our launches because I'm only letting the right people on the list in the first place. And everyone's like, scrounging for 1%. Like we do not do logical in Kate Doster land because we are particular. So the number 1 mistake is waiting for some type of magical number or letting yourself get psyched out. So I'm sure you definitely heard this before. Oh, I don't want to sell to my list till I have 1,000 people. Or, oh, I only have like 50 people. I'm not going to send a newsletter till I have a 100. Don't be a jerk. I will remind this. Do not be a jerk. Those 50 people, those 100 people, those 999 people have no freaking clue that they're only one of 50. So why are you going to punish them with the help that you could give them because you didn't hit some vanity metric? send them the email. Now, the more people of the right people, of course, that you have on your list, can you expect bigger sales? Sure. If you want to have a $10,000 launch with a $7 ebook and you got a cool 25 people, math are going to come into play. But there's no reason why you cannot tell those 25 people about your $7 ebook. Like there just isn't. So that is what you need to worry about. There is no magic number. When there's one person on your email list and it is you start sending emails so that way you get in the habit. Because wouldn't you rather practice with like 100 people around than like 100,000 people around? I'm just saying, I'd rather make an error there. And for the record, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody cares if there's a typo. And if there's a typo, when they send it back, because somebody will always say like, oh, there's a typo in this, then you just say thank you, because that's somebody's love language. And then if somebody was like really animate about it, like, oh, this comes off as unprofessional. And like, if they want to start a fight, I'm not going to pick a fight because I just laugh at them and unsubscribe them. But that's another thing when talk about unsubscribes. Like, no, you don't get to be here. It's like action takers have typos because we actually did stuff. Like, I don't want to say everyone who is looking at typos is too much of a perfectionist to hit send, but I guarantee you the action taker with the typo is going to get more results than the person who's too afraid of making a mistake.
You mentioned about number, and I want to actually ask a question about number of times that you would spend in a week. Do you think that there's too many emails being sent? When is it too much?
I think that if people are not set the proper expectation, then that's when it's too much. So, and this is something that you could send again in that first email interaction that people get from you, because that first email, when someone signs up for any type of freebie, whether it is a webinar, a 5-day challenge, whatever it is, that is the one that they're most likely going to open statistically. So you tell them like, hey, I'm going to be emailing you a couple of days, or, hey, I like to send emails to my list on Tuesdays and Thursdays. What you have to make sure, say, especially if you're in a big launch, is you need to be crystal clear, especially if you are doing business to consumer. So if you're not doing Facebook ads or you're not doing business coaching or copywriting or any of this, you need to tell them, hey, I literally send this as an extra email. Hey, I know we just met. I'm in the middle of this launch. I did not know if you wanted to hear about it, so I'm going to segment it out. Here's one. If you decide every new person has to get all of your launch emails, you're going to get higher unsubscribes, but you can tell them like, hey, this is what's happening. It's when people don't know what's happening and all of a sudden they're getting emailed 3 times per day. Like that is the problem. So do you mean how many times per day during a launch, or how many times in general for, say, like more ongoing nurturing? Would you like to know the answer to?
So I would say, honestly, both, because I know I have some listeners that would say, I'm going to do a launch and I'm only sending 2 emails over a course of 7 days. And then I have others that have an email list that create recipes and they refuse to email more than once a week because that's all they've ever done. And they think their people are going to get upset if they email them twice.
Okay. So for the recipe one about emailing more than once a week, if you decide to run a promotion and you email them on a different day, because say they're so used to seeing you on Thursday, if you show up on Tuesday, they're going to know it's important and they're going to open. So you do not have to worry about it. And I have a one-on-one client. I'm not taking any more, guys, but we had a one-on-one client last year, and she was particularly in the budgeting niche, which is like, how can I make money teaching people how to save money? And so we were talking about return on time investment. COVID was happening, distance learning, all of this stuff. And I'm like, I don't think that like posting to 5 Instagram followers is going to do it. I'm going to challenge you to email your list more. So what we did is we set it up with an August experiment. And she told her list this too. She's like, you know what? For August, I'm going to email you twice a month. So at the beginning of the month, she would sit down, she would create the topic. Sometimes she would write all 8 emails, but usually she'd at least create the topics on her Trello board that we set up. And then she would email. People freaking loved it, because she always made the emails. Now they were easy to digest, because it wasn't like she was trying to give them 8 different links to 8 different places once a week. It was all of a sudden, this was about this. This was about this one. She was sharing more of her personality. She wasn't overloading people. She was still sharing the blog post. She was still sharing things that were going on, in real time. And she ended up loving it. And they love it. And she's like, I thought I'd get so many unsubscribes and everybody would hate it. So for that person who is too nervous make it an experiment. Make it an experiment for January right now. Make it for February. February is the shortest month of the year. Like, hey guys, we're going to throw in Tuesdays. And if you like it and I like it, we're going to keep doing it. And then now it's parameters. Now it's not like, oh, I always have to send every Tuesday. Now, as for the launch emails, it depends. First of all, you can't just get away with 2. Because again, what if somebody, treat people like people, signed up for 1 million freebies or stepped away for a couple of days and now they're coming back to an inbox and there's like 100 emails and yours is like email 85. They might not get down there. They probably will give up by the time your launch comes. So again, do not be a jerk. Email them more than once. If you know that your product can help people and save them time and avoid them struggle, you owe it to them to tell them at least more than once, especially if it is something higher priced. I mean, think about it. And I'm aware that most coaching and courses don't necessarily cost as much as a car. Some of our high level stuff maybe, but most of the time doesn't. Are you just going to go and buy the first car that you see? Most people aren't. Most people are going to be researching it online. They're going to be looking around. They're going to think about it. And then they're going to get distracted because, you know, your kids just knocked over your Diet Dr. Pepper, or you can't find your iPad, or the dog needs to go out. So people, they get distracted. So you need to make sure that if your product can help people, that you're telling them about it. What I don't want to see you send for those 2 emails are, in 7 days, my 50% off coupon's going away. And then the last one, 50% off is going away in an hour. Another email, it's going away in 30 minutes. It's going away in 10 minutes. No, don't repeat yourself. Treat people like people. Learn about a buying process. What is going to hold them back when? So you can always say something different, but you have to give them a chance. Sadly, Jenny, not everyone reads all of our stuff. I know. Jenny and I are like, our fans are rabid. They are always on our Instagram stories. They listen to every podcast they could name about. No, they have lives. They don't. So give them the chance just in case if they don't see it.
So good. It's so true. And I know, I really, truly hope that those that are listening, like, let that sit in and like really take it in. Cause it's okay to have those people unsubscribe if they're not, You're going to get bothered by a second email. They're not your people, right? We talked about have a list full of your people. So good. With that, you offer a freebie that is going to give email as far as obviously guidance with email. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Sure. So we were talking about this before we hopped on the air, so don't worry about it because we couldn't decide which one for you guys to get. Although I think we're going to end up having 2. So we're going to break up all of the rules for this. I'm going to send you to 2 different places. The first thing that I want you to do, if you're like, crap, you talked about getting those right people, and I don't know what freebie to actually create. Like, I can't think of that. Yeah, but that Kate was talking about. And she mentioned something about a 90s singer at some point. Who was she referring to? Then head on over to katedoster.com/freebie influencer. And that is going to bring you to my free course, Freebies That Sell and Serve, where we are actually going to break down your niches, the yeah buts that people have, and we will tackle which format, because that's probably the question I get asked the most. Should it be a challenge? Should it be a PDF? Should it be an audio? No, we're going to answer all of that. Again, katedoster.com/influencer freebie. And then the next one, if you're like, I think I got my people, but I just cannot figure out what to email them whatsoever, then you can head on over to katedoster.com/influencer-2. And I'll make sure all versions of that link work. So again, katedoster.com/influencer2. And that is going to give you 2 years worth of strategically planned email ideas. So I literally give you a calendar and I give you sentence starter prompts. So that way you can just get your brain going. Again, treat people like people. If you're like, you need to email your list and you're like, I got no idea. But if I'm like, okay, email your list and tell them about your favorite fun find that you found in your business or for your kitchen this week, you're gonna be like, oh, I know what that is. And then you go ahead and you go at it. So those will help you out depending on if you need the right people or if you need to talk to those people or if you need both.
Perfect. So we're going to make sure that those are linked to actually in the show notes as well. So that if you're driving, you don't need to pull over and try to get that right now.
No.
Make sure that you have that. Kate, where are the best places to connect with you?
Sure. So the best place to connect with me, since you're already listening to the podcast, is wherever you're listening to this podcast. Just pop in to the search function and go to Inbox Besties. There we talk all things about email marketing, sales psychology, money mindset, all of it. Because again, I need to make sure that you hit send. So subscribe to the Inbox Besties podcast. And if you're like, Kate, I already did that. The second you introed yourself, then you can always follow me on Instagram. It is Kate_Doster. I'm just starting to up my Instagram game. I'm spying on like Jenny. I'm like, oh, what does she do? Adding a little bit into that spice into my own process as well. And of course, you can go to katedoster.com. But really, the podcast Inbox Besties and Instagram Kate_Doster is where I've been spending a lot of my time.
Excellent. We're going to link to those as well in the show notes. We appreciate, Kate. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and my audience. I truly appreciate it.
Yay. I'm so excited, guys. Just hit send. Just hit send. Do not punish the one person who's super excited to hear from you, because somebody who's a loser that's got too much time on their hands might reply back and be like, I think you're unprofessional for using the word butt face. I don't care. Get out.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Well, there you have it. Clearly, there is so much that you can take away from this episode. Kate was absolutely fabulous, very open about everything that she does. And I really hope that you can see the connections that we're making when we talk about the importance of having the right people within your audience. It doesn't make sense to have a list. It doesn't make sense to have social media that isn't the right people. Make sure it's the right people and put these strategies into effect so that you can start making money from your list and stop being so afraid to sell to the people that are there. Like Kate said, it's selfish not to. You're holding back by not offering up your services or products that you have. I appreciate you guys so much for listening in. Put a Instagram story if you're listening, and put a screenshot up on Instagram stories tagging me at Jenny_Melrose, as well as Kate at Kate_Doster. We'd love to see what you're doing while you're listening in and any takeaways that you had from the episode. As always, if you haven't already left a podcast interview, I so appreciate it when you do. Rating and review helps to make sure that I get fabulous guests just like Kate. All right, guys, until next time, I will see you all then.